Hello, friends, and welcome to the next part of our stroll through the Bible as we look at the book of Judges. We are going to spend this time talking solely about Samson. We're going to get to the first act of his story. Samson is an odd character, to be sure. In fact, Samson seems less like a biblical hero and more like your typical strongman character. We're talking, from the other cultures around, Gilgamesh or Hercules or Heracles, since we want to use his proper Greek name around here, right? He's strong. He's a bit of a doofus. He is also a little bit cunning and wise at times, but he fluctuates between the two. Sometimes he is amazingly wise. Sometimes he is he's quite very much doofus. And he doesn't seem to take his calling to be holy incredibly seriously. In fact, he breaks almost all the rules the angel gives him, gives his mama anyway, and we're about to get to, but he is still mightily used by God, filled with God's Holy Spirit, which in the book of Judges and in the Old Testament is seen as an inspirational power. But it can be inspirational for, of course, the prophets to be able to have their visions and to be able to spin their poetry, inspirational for kings to be able to lead in difficult times, but in Samson's case, especially inspiration for mighty acts of strength. Now, his unique and weird nature makes him prime for adaptation. In fact, not only have there been several Hollywood movies back in the days when biblical epics were in vogue about Samson and Delilah, who we will get to next time, in like Italian cinema, which I'm sure most of you don't, Samson almost rivaled Hercules as far as the inspiration for what we call the sword and sandal films, like Steve Reeves' Hercules and stuff back in the 50s and 60s. Again, he's a strong man. He's a little bit boneheaded, but he's also, when you need him to be, he can be really wily and outfox his opponents. And so there we go. So on to Samson. First of all, in chapter 12, we meet a family. We meet Samson's dad and mom. Samson's mom cannot have, he's from the tribe of Dan. Again, not, it's like the big tribes don't really get judges. So out of the tribe of Dan, his dad comes, his humble man, his mama can't have a baby. And one day an angel of the Lord comes to her and says, "You're going to have a miracle child." She doesn't know it's an angel yet. She just thinks it's a man. You're going to have a miracle child, and this miracle child is going to do mighty things for the Lord. The people of Israel had been oppressed by the Philistines for 40 years. He is going to bring liberation and peace to his people. Now you don't drink any wine, don't eat anything from a vineyard vine, don't touch or eat anything unclean while you're pregnant. When he is born, he will be a Nazirite, which was a special sort of, if you remember way back when we're doing like the Torah, a Nazirite is a temporary vow people take to not touch dead things, to not drink alcohol, and there's several others. They don't cut their hair for while they're a Nazirite. This is sort of a way to undertake a spiritual journey, a closeness to God. Now, this young man that they're going to name Samson is supposed to do this from birth. Samson, on the other hand, ends up doing none of those things. But that's the promise. So his mother takes it. She goes to her husband. Her husband is like, "Hey, that's weird. I hope this guy comes again." So the guy comes, and he's out in the field talking to the wife. The wife runs, gets her husband. He comes, and the guy gives his pronunciation, and the guy was like, "Well, why don't you come eat with us, and I'll fix a meal in your honor." And he's like, "Well, don't do it for me. Make a sacrifice to the Lord." And then they're like, no, you really need something to eat or drink. And he's like, I don't eat your food or drink your stuff. Which again, the angel of the Lord, there's no fast rules, right? Sometimes the angel of the Lord actually does eat their stuff. But anyway, they do their sacrifice, and while they're preparing it and put it on there, of course, another miraculous where the fire just envelops everything instantly. And the dad is like, we are dead because we have seen God. And I love the practicality of his wife as she goes, no, we won't see, if the Lord wanted to kill us, the Lord wouldn't promise us a baby. And then they have a baby. And this begins the story of Samson, which we will continue for the next several videos. Samson, the miracle baby, is born. And so with that, salvation is coming to Israel, but not immediately. You know, before we have had grown men raised up, now we have a baby. But this baby, the first time you meet him as an adult, is going to do the weirdest thing of all. And I'll talk about that next time. Thank you for being with me, and God bless.